Today we are talking about hurried child syndrome. Have you heard of it? Well, a lot of social media posts claim it means rushing your child, like hurrying them to put their shoes on or get out the door, but it could lead to anxiety, apparently. But before you panic thinking this is something I do, we have some help. Emily Oster brought clarity to the so many rules in pregnancy in her first book and runaway bestseller, Expecting Better. She recently released an updated paperback edition and hardcover gift edition on sale now. She is an economist who became an unexpected parenting expert after debunking many parenting studies which were based on shoddy science a lot of the time. Emily, thank you for your service and good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So how did hurried child syndrome come onto your radar?
So it came on my radar through social media, where we find things, and social media posts that were telling parents, if you put your kids' shoes on quickly, if you rush them out the door, you tell them we're going to be late for school, they're going to be destined to a lifetime anxiety. And parents came to me and they said, oh my gosh, is there any evidence for this? You know about data, is there any evidence? And the answer was no. There is absolutely no evidence for that. What's interesting is this phrase, hurried child syndrome, was coined 40 years ago to talk about something very different, which is the idea that if we push our kids to be too adult, to have too much pre-professional sports, to sort of go beyond the play-based childhood, that could be a problem for anxiety, but it's really, really different than telling them to put their shoes on.
But there is research and science to support the real hurried child syndrome. Was there just a confusion over the term that's led to kind of the panic headline?
So I think that this is a very common thing where you take something where there's a kernel of truth and you turn it into something else. So like one time there was a study that said if you play Mozart to college students, they do better on a test. And all of a sudden it's like you must play Mozart in your womb or your child's going to be a loser.
I felt pressure to do that.
Right.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of intense.
Yeah.
But then when before we got on air, I said my parenting philosophy is like you release a fish into water. You just drop the fish and the fish swims. That's how parenting goes for me. You just let it happen. But you looked at me like I'm crazy, like you're looking at me now. So, but you just put up a chart that said that a lot of intense cultivation and overscheduling is problematic.
There's such a balance here because we know that some involvement with your kids is really good and that they need your support and they need scaffolding and there are things we do have to teach them. It's not exactly like a fish. But at the same time, I think there is some evidence that some of this overscheduling, that these sort of doing so much extracurriculars, doing so many activities, it could be better for kids to have a little more play time to swim.
But what you're telling me is that it's sort of like a fish.
It's sort of a fish-like.
Okay.
It's like a trained
there's a
fish.
chance. So how can parents know if they're actually giving their kids the real hurried child syndrome, if they're doing the, kind of pushing them too hard to mature too quickly or take on too much?
I think instead of telling parents, giving parents another way to have messed up their kids, what I would ask parents is, are you happy with the way your family is operating? Are you feeling hurried? Rather than saying, are you hurrying your kids, are you feeling like every day we're going from this to this to this to this to this, and I don't have any time to prioritize family time or the things we want to be doing together? And that's maybe a clue that you could give up on some of those extracurriculars. And I think we need to give parents permission to say, it's okay if your kid doesn't play 17 different travel soccer sports. That's okay.
Yeah. The demand for your work speaks to the intense anxiety we all have over what's going to happen with our kids. And I think it's just because the future seems so unclear in terms of the job market, you name it.
And parents want to set their kids up for success.
Set your kid. I think it's so much of this comes from you want to do the right thing for your kid. You want your kid to be happy and productive and to have a good life. And we don't exactly know how to do that. And so when someone comes to us and they say, well, the problem is you're telling them to put their shoes on too quickly.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, at least that's something I can do. I can tell them to put their shoes on slowly. Maybe that's a secret to success.
You call them panic headlines. Do they get you? Because I see them, I'm like, it says like, do this one thing and your child will be balanced and wise. Yeah. And I'm like, what do I do?
No.
Do you ever do you double click on those things?
Absolutely. We all double click on them. I mean, it's a panic headline. It's designed to get you to click. That's what it's doing there.
Yeah.
It's your clickbait.
Yeah. And there's actually no way to get a young child out of the house without the chaos of a hurried, finally it could be 10:49 and you have nothing to do at all, but you're just like, we have to get out of the house. Why are you not?
It's when they're like, I'm gonna tie them myself. And you're like, okay, That's great. That's a wonderful learning experience. And I'd love to teach you that.
Here we go.
Emily Oster, thank you so much.
Thank you.